Was so deep. 1971, that's right around the time Nixon declared the war on drugs.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
So John Ehrlichman, Nixon's chief domestic advisor, did an interview with Harper's Magazine in 1994. He spoke quite openly about why he and Nixon orchestrated the war on drugs. No embellishments whatsoever. This is what he had to say. The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. And there you have it, straight from one of the creators of the war on drugs. I don't know, man. Sound like people got different definitions for democracy. Whoa, wait a minute. So you're saying that the war on drugs was actually a war on hippies and blacks. Why would the news lie about that? Doesn't make any sense. That's just a conspiracy theory. This is America. Fact checkers, please. Wait a minute. Fact checkers, if you want to win one of these beautiful t-shirts, just go to prisonlogic.com and post your facts there. Now, where was I? The war on hippies and blacks continues to this very day. I think Nelson Rockefeller, then governor of New York, got in on it too. He was like, give them life without parole, even if they were juvenile, with no chance of repeal. And that's how the mandatory drug possession charge became a minimum sentence of 15 years. You better get that money, 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 get that money. Before you know it, the whole country was on the bandwagon. Remember how I was talking about the convict lease system? Well, it was so profitable, it began to revive economies across the country, and every state wanted in. Big money prisons were gaining major influence on Capitol Hill. They began paying politicians to push for harsher laws and longer sentences, longer sentences. You better get that money, get that money, get that money, get that money. Here we were in the 1970s, and blacks, who had only made up 13% of the U.S. population, made up 41% of the prison population. Get that money. Put it like this: 1 out of every 4 black men went to jail. So while blacks and whites fought side by side to help blacks gain the right to vote, 1 in 4 black men were being incarcerated and revoked of their right to vote. Get it? Then came the 80s, the Reagan era. And this mug had the nerve to declare war on drugs. Talk about history repeating itself, good lord. So this go round, the Reagan administration labels the Sandinistas of the Nicaraguan government a socialist government that must be overthrown for democracy. To do so, the Reagan administration provided financial aid to the Contras, who were in opposition of the Sandinistas. But once the U.S. discovered that the Contras were also using drug money to fund their rebellion, U.S. Congress was like, and they cut off all funds to the Contras. Then Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, or whatever his rank is, comes up with what he labels a neat idea. He was like, we don't need Congress. We can sell guns to Iran. Take that money and give it to the Contras. Congress ain't gotta know nothing. That's not gonna be enough. So we got his boy, Oscar Danilo Blandon from Nicaragua. Oscar had drugs wholesale and a connect in California named Freeway Rick Ross. And Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North proceeds with this plan. We gonna act like we don't know. Let my boy Oscar bring his drugs into the USA. His connect, Freeway Rick Ross, is going to push the drug to the most vulnerable black communities in California. Then spread to St. Louis, New Orleans, Texas, Kansas City, Oklahoma, North Carolina, South Carolina, Indiana, Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Ohio. Oh, I forgot Seattle. He'll take some of that drug money and use that to fund the Contras too. Boom! And we're back in business with Nicaragua. Democracy. I don't know. Fact checkers. Anyway, Oliver North eventually got busted. He served 3 years in prison. His connect and drug lord Oscar Danilo Blandon served 2 years in worked with the DEA to help bring down Freeway Rick Ross, who ended up serving 25 years because that's the black penalty for selling drugs in the United States of America. Was it 25 years? Fact checkers, I need your help, because I do believe that Freeway Rick Ross's sentence was 5 times longer than Oliver North and Oscar Danilo Blandon's sentences combined. I'm not glorifying Freeway Rick Ross for being so eager to sell out his own community, but I do think it's interesting that Oliver North, who orchestrated the whole thing, was able to sit in front of the Supreme Court and say, I thought it was a neat idea, and only served 3 years. How we let them do this? Guess who else served time? All the black drug addicts, mamas with crack baby, drug affiliates, etc. And that pretty much devastated much of what was left of the black community. It's so insightful how government has the ability to declare a war on drugs just before the drugs are pumped into the community. Black is beautiful, but black is also highly abused and highly incarcerated, has been since 1865. For instance, the convict lease system has been so successful and so profitable that even private prisons prisons are making a killing in the prison industrial complex. Did you know that the private prison industry lobbied for harsher and longer sentences and for the right to detain immigrants who were supposed to be deported? They spent $45 million bribing folks on Capitol Hill. $45 million bribing folks on Capitol Hill and in the mainstream media. Do you know what the private prison industry grosses per year? $5.1 billion. I could buy like 10 fishing kayaks with that. The profitable convict lease system is part of the reason that this war on drugs theme is so popular. Still, today, 1 out of 4 black men will be incarcerated. Luckily, out of the 4 black men in my family, I was the brother who went to jail, thank God. Well, me and Tijuana Jackson, that's why I'm crazy. Speaking of history repeating itself, I can't forget Bill Clinton's war on drugs. He signed the 1994 crime bill, didn't he? And his wife coined the term super predator, which basically means these damn niggers. Super predator. They gon' rape your wives. Super predator. Kill your kids, then they gon' kill you. Super predator. They're subhuman. Super predator. They don't think like us. Super predator. Matter of fact, they don't think, which really helped beef up the prison population and the convict lease system. You know what? History ain't nothing but a one-trick pony. With all the opposition I've just mentioned, we have still managed to produce some of the world's top artists, some of the world's top entrepreneurs, some of the world's top athletes, a black president. How did I forget Kanye? Some of the world's top fashionistas. Y'all know what we need, right? Modern day abolitionists. Look at it like this. The more you buy into the concept that putting nonviolent people in jail for extreme amounts of time is a good idea, the more jobs you lose to the convict lease system. Sound familiar? Is history predictable or what? Look, it's really simple. While you're pointing your finger at immigrants, the very same politicians we allow to divide us are the ones who promote the campaign that help to beef up the convict leasing system and the prison industrial complex. Is it clicking a little bit? And the larger those industries grow, the smaller the job market becomes. I don't know about you, but I need my family protected from that dude who went to jail for smoking weed over a ping pong injury. I gotta drink some water on that. Really though, it's the same trick over and over. Kick them out, arrest them, and make us feel safe. Here's another way to look at it, and I'm not being sarcastic. Actually, I am being sarcastic. The safer politicians claim they will make you feel, the less livelihood you have, the less job opportunities you have, the less of a future your children have. But hey, keep them pot smokers off the streets. History repeating itself. History is starting to look like a Ferris wheel. You should be assembling military uniforms. You should be building furniture for high-rise office buildings. You should be farming tilapia. You should be assembling headphones for the leading manufacturers. You should be molding dentures for dentists across the country. You should be upholstering chairs for furniture manufacturers. You should be transcribing textbooks into Braille. You should be producing frozen food for the leading fast food chain. You should be answering the phones at these call centers. You should be providing telecommunication services to America's leading cellular companies. You should be sewing lingerie for America's most adored lingerie outlets. You should be sewing those made in the USA tags onto garments. You should be taking reservations for America's top airlines and not for 26 cents an hour either. Oh yeah, that's what non-violent criminals get paid in prison. Yeah, that's right, 16 to 26 cents when you should be doing those same jobs for $16 to $26. So you see how it works, right? The convict lease system, the private prison industry invests as much money as it does in media because it needs you to buy into the narrative that the unjust incarceration of blacks who are given sentences up to 5 times longer than white offenders for the exact same crime is justified. You get what I'm saying? And the more you buy into it, the more you lose your job to non-violent offenders. And remember, this has been going on since 1865. 1865. And yes, we got black on black crime, we got white on white crime, Asian on Asian crime, Latino on Latino crime. But think about this. If 1 out of every 4 men in your neighborhood, wait, let me do it over. So if 1 in 4, 25% of the male figure in your community were guaranteed to go to prison, and if it had been that way since 1865, and if that were the best ratio that had ever existed since 1865, do you think going to gladiator school and coming back into the neighborhood could make you more violent? Think about this. Some parents don't send their kids to certain schools because they're worried about their kids being bullied or being picked on, and these dynamics can make their kids depressed, and it can also make their kids incredibly violent. Don't you think that that environment could have an influence on the way in which people behave when they get out of jail? No? Doesn't cross your mind? Yes? Talk to me. Anyway, that is the covert black history of the USA. I think it's hypocritical to speak of American history without speaking about the prison industrial complex. If you would like to see more content that supports the truth, please click the link and show social media support for my up-and-coming movie, Prison Logic. Click that link right there. That one. Click that one. No, click Click this one. I want you to love me. Do you love me? Because I love me like the one above me. Let's not let history repeat itself again and again. Because every time history repeats itself, it ends up putting you out of money.